Bluegrass Stakes.
Alidar just drawn away with the lead with every stride. It is spectacular bid. Coming to the line with his ears pricking.
It's Holy Gold in front.
Courtland Simmons with you here at the CS Racing Report with the Bluegrass Stakes preview pod. Let's take a look at the field. As you look at the 9-horse entries, the 9 entries in this race, post positions and morning line odds, what's interesting is the stark contrast between running styles, predominant running styles from the Florida Derby to the Bluegrass. In the Florida Derby, you had at least more than half the field that had stalk and pounce or speed favoring styles. In this race, it's the polar opposite, where you have at least 6 mid to deep closers in this race, which of course makes the favorite Essential Quality that much more of a more coveted pick in terms of his tactical ability and being able to possibly inherit the lead and run away with this race, which begs the question, the $64 million question, which of these horses are going to use forwardly placed tactics in this Bluegrass, and if they punch their ticket to the Derby in the future at Churchill Downs? Or is it going to be a case scenario where the back end horses are going to stick to their plan and be content to close and try to get the minor placings, whether they've garnered Derby points or not, coming into this race, with that second place finish being particularly important for those who haven't gotten any Derby points, or certainly a high amount of Derby points coming into this Bluegrass. In the meantime, minus Essential Quality's high equibase speed figure, Highly Motivated and Untreated are the two that have triple-digit equibases. You have a cluster of horses, primarily closers, that are in the low or the mid to high 90s. And so from there, do you think any of those horses can improve from Hidden Stash at 93 to Keep Me in Mind at 99, which segues into Keep Me in Mind? He has back class at Keeneland. For those of you who think that's a plus, which it is. He has back class at Keeneland, and though he missed the Southwest, he needed the Rebel, but the problem is he didn't need to finish 6th. And for those who believe that maybe because he needed the race and that this time he'll get a little bit better trip, that he can factor in the Bluegrass and save the ground and get that, coveted trip. Well, did he not do that in the Rebel, save ground? And then when he tipped out, he just didn't have the horsepower. Granted, he was about 5 or 6 wide, or 5.5 wide, but he just didn't have the horsepower. So he is going to have to be able to get back to that form at Keeneland and be a beneficiary of this matchup, serving him better than what he faced in the Rebel, which was a pretty good field. In the meantime, you have horses like Hush of a Storm, the 7 and the 5 Rombauer. Both are coming in with a synthetic to dirt angle, which a lot of people dislike. A lot of people frown on that. But Hush of the Storm comes in on 3 for 3 in his last outings. And anytime a horse is doing that, you got to respect that. He's in good form. He's got some, turn of foot. And even though his form on the dirt is is worse than what Rombauer did, he was second in at Santa Anita in the American Pharoah versus Hush of a Storm, finishing a nondescript 8th at Churchill Downs. I think both horses with that similar morning line odds and their possible room for improvement, they could be horses that you look at. Meantime, you have Highly Motivated, who is within striking distance speed-wise of Essential Quality, albeit at shorter distances, including the Gotham, where he finished 3rd, a very exciting race where he came on in the stretch in what was a head-bobbing finish, even though the time was a little bit slow. Those numbers of his are very, very good. But do you think 7-2 is too short of a price? I kind of think that it is, but he's another horse sired by Into Mischief that you got to ask the question, will he appreciate the added ground off the Gotham? It should set up for him in terms of that race preparing him to do so. That's going to be enter at your own risk type territory with Highly Motivated, but those numbers are going to certainly be tempting for a lot of people, myself included. Then you have the Tampa to Keeneland angle. That has not been as successful as horses coming from Tampa and then going to Gulfstream Park. Case in point scenario, just the previous week when Nova Rags, who finished 2nd to his stablemate Candyman Rocket in the Sam F. Davis, a race in which the eventual Florida Derby winner, Known Agenda, finished 5th. They both ran very, very well when traveling down the street to Gulfstream. Can horses like Hidden Stash and Untreated, the 1 and the 2, be able to do that at Lexington coming from out of Tampa? I think they've got a chance to do that. Hidden Stash's speed figs are a little his top speed fig is a little bit low, but he made an eye-catching middle move, particularly in the Tampa Bay Derby. He was third in the Sam F. Davis, the runner-up in that at that track's Derby. I think he's very, very intriguing in here, and I think he's a horse that I believe will improve. One thing about Tampa, it's a track that can be demanding. Some horses may not like it, and then what happens is they end up doing very well, as aforementioned, at other tracks. Vino Rosso was a perfect example of that, even though it didn't quite happen in the Triple Crown. Prior to it, he won the Wood Memorial when shipping out from Tampa to Aqueduct. So, and he ended up becoming a Breeders' Cup Classic champion. So when you look at this and break down the picks, which we're going to transition into, I have a cluster of horses that may be able to pull the upset if you're looking to swing for the fences. The 2, the 3, the 1, and the 7. I landed actually on the number 1 and the 2, the Tampa horses coming in, Hidden Stash and Untreated. And so you could go the 1, the 4, the 5, the 7, or the 1, the 4, the 5, and the 9, maybe using Keep Me in Mind on the tail end, maybe number 5, Ron Brower as well. Then the 2, the 4, the 5, and the 7, or the 2, the 4, the 5, and the 9. Those are just home run scenarios, upset specials. The second pick, I'm no dummy, even though I look like one, trying to make Spielberg a win bet. He busted up everybody's brackets by not even hitting the board for some of those, for those of you who didn't believe he could win, but maybe could at least be in the top 4. So, but in terms of the second pick here, I feel a little better about Essential Quality. In terms of a second scenario, the 4, the 3, the 2, the 5. This is based on the Randy Moss method of who's run the fastest in the past. This is strictly speed figures, the 4 fastest horses, the 4, the 3, the 2, and the 5. That could be a scenario, or you could flip the second and third place finishers and make it the 4, the 3, the 5, and the 2. And once again, there's a number of numbers you could use maybe to switch that last digit in order to fill out your super. For that one. The final pick, I'm still sticking with the Central Quality. Yes, I'm going to be a chalk-eating weasel in this telecast. The 4, the 1, which would be Hidden Stash, the 2, Untreated, and the number 7, Hush of a Storm. Now, that may be going out on a limb for some of you who think that maybe the numbers on Highly Motivated, the back class of Ron Brower, maybe even Keep Me in Mind makes better sense to fill out the superfecta. Well, certainly some of those numbers are involved, are being utilized in the first couple scenarios I outlined. But I kind of like these numbers, 4, 1, 2, 7. You could easily flip again the second and third place, and then for an alternative to fill out your super, you could go the 3, Highly Motivated, the 5, Ron Brower, the number 9, Keep Me in Mind. Once again, 4, 1, 2, 7. Again, Essential Quality is the horse to beat. It's his to lose. I think a lot of you out there would be shocked by that. We're certainly going to cover it down the road in terms of where this race will impact the total Derby picture right here at the CS Racing Report.